Jonathan Sacerdoti is live in London with us. Jonathan, let's get back to Foreign Secretary Boris Johnson and his statement that Putin is using the World Cup in exactly the same way that Hitler used the 1936 Olympic Games.
Yes, when that was put to him, he said it was certainly right, sometimes one for overstatement. Boris Johnson then went on to say that it was emetic to think of him relishing the chance of hosting the World Cup. Emetic, just for those of you who aren't sure, means causing you to vomit. So he's certainly not mincing his words, saying that it is vomit-inducing that Russia will get any kind of PR benefit from hosting the World Cup.
Okay, definitely strong words. That's the understatement of the day. What about that nerve agent Novichok, which is only manufactured by Russia? And, you know, despite the fact that we all know where that comes from, Russia is still blaming the UK for all of this. How's that happening?
So Boris Johnson points towards Russian strategies in general as being to obfuscate and confuse people. And they have managed to do that with some people. They've questioned why there haven't been pictures of the victims, why we're not getting proper updates about their health situation, why they didn't get a sample of the nerve agent, why we should believe Britain that it was Novichok, in fact, when there has been no verification of that. So to that end, Britain invited those international chemical weapons investigators into the UK, and the OPCW sent its people over. They've been in Salisbury today. They were seen in the pub that Sergei Skripal was seen in with his daughter during that day when he was later found to have been comatose on a bench. So they'll be hoping now that these independent investigators from the OPCW will be able to back up what they've said, and then their assertion that Russia is behind it because of it being Novichok will be believed more universally.
Now, you heard what U.S. President Donald Trump said earlier today, which is that the U.S. will respond to this and will hold Russia accountable. Trump, Russia, generally they have a pretty good relationship, but it seems like there are some divides starting to form.
There had been some criticism of Trump, who'd phoned up Putin to congratulate him for his victory in the elections without mentioning what had happened in Salisbury to effectively the UK, which is one of America's greatest allies. Similarly, France initially had responded in such a way that they said they were showing solidarity with Great Britain, but they didn't necessarily condemn Russia point blank. So both countries have been doing a bit of catching up to try to show that they do condemn Russia, that they do point the finger at Russia, because initially they hadn't done so in the beginning. So I think that's what Trump was probably aiming at in that phone call today.
Jonathan, why is Britain pushing back now? And the reason I ask that question is because this has allegedly happened several times before. In fact, maybe up as many as 15 times that Russia has allegedly poisoned people on British soil. What is different about this case to make Britain respond in such a way?
Certainly there was the very famous case of Alexander Litvinenko, and Britain did put in place sanctions and controls that would make life harder for Russia. They said it was so that that could never happen again. But as Litvinenko's widow has said in interviews since the Skripal incident occurred, it obviously didn't work. So Britain has then been alleged by some, including BuzzFeed, who published details of some suspicious deaths that they said were carried out by Russia, potentially. Britain has been accused of not treating this problem seriously. It's a good question why they've decided to act now. Perhaps it was the final straw that broke the camel's back.